Physical therapy, and I'm a personal trainer and yoga teacher. And today I'm going to be talking about the difference between whole foods and processed foods and how to start eating more of a clean diet. So, this is for those busy moms and those busy families who find the idea of clean eating just too overwhelming. So, I'm going to break it down and teach you some small steps so that you can create this in your family and make your way more towards whole foods and less processed foods. So, what are whole foods? So, whole foods are natural, they haven't been manufactured, they haven't had anything added to it like preservatives or artificial flavorings, and they haven't had anything taken away from them, like stripped of their natural nutrients. So, in our culture and all around us, we have lots of breads that have been processed, pizza, pastas, pies. Think about those processed meats like hot dogs, canned soups that have a ton of salt and other things added to them. Even the grains that come in a pouch, like rices, where they add different flavorings and preservatives and juices. So, those are all some processed foods that are pretty common in our everyday life and diet. So there was this study, and it found that the people who ate a processed food diet typically ate 500 more calories than those who had less processed foods. And they also had less energy, and their risk factor for heart disease and all those other diseases were way up. So when you're eating processed foods, you're getting less fiber in your diet. And fiber helps to fill you up, and also, as you're eating fiber and more healthy proteins and fats, your blood sugar will be more regulated. So, as you're eating those processed foods that your body just digests really quick, you can get a big spike of blood sugar and it can leave you low on energy. And you're also missing out on the micronutrients, so those vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients. So, these are special nutrients that we get from plants, fruits, and vegetables. So I'm going to give some examples of real easy swaps that you can do. So the first one is if you drink juice or your kids, you can swap that apple juice for an apple. You can swap that orange juice for an orange. So this idea of whole foods and clean eating isn't just for us, it is for our kids and our family because our kids need these nutrients too. And they are setting habits for their life. So if we can start them off on better habits, they're going to have more success as they go into adulthood. So another example is granola bars. So sometimes they're just super easy and super quick, but maybe taking the time to make a bowl of oatmeal with whole old-fashioned oats, or having like trail mix ready to take with you with different nuts. Um, so breads and pasta, swapping those out for rice or potatoes. And especially with rice or quinoa, I prep those ahead of time so that I have them ready. Um, and canned soups, doing homemade soups and putting it in little dishes so that you can have those ready for you. So it's like having a canned soup, but it's a healthy homemade soup. So I also want to talk about the idea of change is really hard. So think about eating an apple doesn't sound hard. Eating some homemade soup is not hard, or even making it. You can make homemade soups pretty quickly just by chopping it up and putting it in a crock pot or something. Eating a potato or whole rice is not hard. But changing from what you're currently eating or some of the processed foods to that whole foods or clean eating can be hard. So one, you can sort of have that mind block that this is just too hard, it's too overwhelming, I can't do it. So really giving yourself grace and knowing that it's going to take probably 2 or 3 months to get in a habit of eating clean and eating differently, so that becomes easier. So in our brain, we develop these patterns, these well-worn patterns of what we do. And so the idea of doing something else and creating a new path, a new loop in your brain, it's really hard and it's going to take some time. But remember that it's not actually hard to eat any of that. You just have to figure it out. You have to set some time aside to plan and prep the stuff so that you have it ready. So also when you are eating more of a whole foods diet, that probably means you're eating less sugar and salt. So they add sugar to so many things. If you check out ketchup, it's in there. Barbecue sauce, it has a lot of sugar. Cereal, if you buy the packaged oatmeals, they're throwing extra sugar in there. And even breads, pasta sauces, they will. So you can still eat some of those, And we do too. I use a barbecue sauce, but I find one that has a lot less sugar in it. And we don't have it like every day. So finding different ones that you're going to use that have less sugar or less salt, but also just really become aware of that and swapping that out. So by taking granola bars out of your diet, you may decrease your sugar. So finding those different swaps that you can do. So I want you to think right now about what percent of your diet is whole foods and what percent of your diet is processed foods. And so as you're thinking of that, I want you to think of, if it sounds too overwhelming to be like, I have to eat all clean, I have to eat all whole foods, you don't have to do that. You can take small steps. So let's say you're 50-50. You're just going to change that ratio a little bit. So you might start with your breakfast. Maybe if you've been eating little baggies of oatmeal, you're going to switch to that old-fashioned oatmeal or steel-cut oats. Maybe if you take those granola bars or little bags of chips, you're just going to start with packing yourself some trail mix or something else. So start small so that you can stick with it. And so with my clients where we do habit stacking, so they might cut something out, but they're going to do that for a few weeks, maybe a month, maybe 2 months till it feels comfortable, and then add something new in. So I want you to take the same idea as you do it with clean eating and whole foods. And just remember that habits get easier. So the more you stick with this, the easier those habits will get, and the more it will just become part of your life and part of your family's life as the way you eat. So I'm going to give some of how I normally eat to give you some ideas. So for breakfast, if I'm doing oatmeal, I'm going to do old-fashioned oatmeal. I'm going to add fruit in for my sweetness. So if you normally are used to sugar, just decrease it. So that's what I did when I first did that because it did not taste good if you're used to something sweet. So I just cut the amount of sugar eventually till I didn't need it, and then I try to use that fruit to sweeten it up. And I'll add nuts. Sometimes I'll add coconut milk in there, and we'll also do steel-cut oats. And then I can do eggs and maybe fruit a different morning. For lunch, I either do leftovers. For most of us, we typically have healthier dinners, and we try to get those vegetables in. So having leftovers that you can eat the next day for lunch is another great way. And I also tend to make a big Instapot batch of rice and quinoa. Sometimes I'll mix that together, or sometimes it's just the rice. So I have that ready. So then for my lunch, I can grab a meat and load up the vegetables on it. For snacks, I will typically do like fruit, maybe with a nut butter or a peanut butter. And then I'll also do trail mix, and I might have a piece of fruit with that or some vegetables. And then I'll also do smoothies. And then the other tip I do for myself personally is when I'm traveling, it can be really hard to eat healthy. So one, if we're going out somewhere, we will stop at like Panera or McAllister's and I will get a salad. But I'm also packing lots of healthy snacks so that I can have those with us. And I am very lucky when I go to my mom's house, she eats super healthy, so I'm encouraged there. When we go to other families' house, not so much, but I will just stop at Panera and grab something to bring back. And I also have food a little differently than these people, and that's okay because my health is worth it. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment, or if you are watching this video later, I would love to see what you think. So if you found this interesting, I hope that you think of that small step you can take today so that you can start eating cleaner. So if you have any questions or you want to work with me as a private client or in my group classes, let me know. This week on Friday, I have a free yoga class coming up, so I hope that you guys can join me for that. Hope everyone has a great day.